your hero story. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 352 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and before we start, I'm going to warn you. What you're about to hear might annoy you a little. It might feel unfair. It might even feel like I'm calling you out. And if that happens, good. Because if you stay until the end, you might finally see a pattern that has been quietly running parts of your life on autopilot. Before we start, as usual, if you end up liking this episode, remember that liking and subscribing really mean a lot for me. They're just one click, but they really make the difference. Thank you very much for considering it. Here's the pattern. You fall into a cycle that hurts. Then you crawl out of it. And the moment you feel relief, you call it improvement. You tell yourself you're growing, but if you zoom out, you didn't change the route. You just got better at surviving the same loop. I notice this in my own routine pretty often, and I want to talk about it in a way that's not just motivational, but actually explains what's going on inside your head. Picture something simple. Your health routine starts slipping, for example. Sleep gets messy, food gets sloppy, training becomes tomorrow. You don't feel great, and then one day you panic a little. You do a heroic reset. You hit the gym hard, you meal prep, you drink water like you're a new person. 3 days later, you feel lighter, cleaner, proud. And the story becomes, see, I'm improving, I got this. But then, the same drift comes back. Same triggers, same shortcuts, same gradual slide. And, if you're honest, the win wasn't the progress. The win was the relief. The win was getting back to baseline and calling it growth. Psychology has a language for this. There's a concept called negative reinforcement. A behavior gets stronger when it removes something unpleasant. You do something, the discomfort goes away, and your brain learns, that worked, let's do it again. Over time, the reward becomes the escape, not the destination. And that's how you end up building a weird relationship with pain. You don't want it, but it becomes familiar. It becomes predictable. It becomes something you know how to beat. And deep down, predictability can feel safer than real change, because real change is uncertain. It asks you to leave your unusual map. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. Sometimes you just don't end up in the hole. Sometimes you keep walking near it because the hole gives you a script you know how to perform. Think about the hell cycle again that we mentioned earlier. The drift starts, and a part of you already knows how the movie ends. There will be a week where you fix it. There will be that clean feeling. There will be that proud mirror moment. And you get to be the hero who saves the day. Again. In the goal literature, there's a term that fits this feeling, an action crisis. It's the phase where you're invested a lot, you hit recurring difficulty, and you feel torn between pushing forward and disengaging. It's not just, I'm tired. It's, do I keep going or do I quit? And that inner conflict drains you. What's interesting is that you can have a mini action crisis inside daily habits. You wake up, you feel the consequences, you argue with yourself. Today I start, today I don't. And you're not debating the habit, you're debating your identity. This is also why avoidance can feel so seductive. Piers Steele, in a major meta-analysis on procrastination, describes it as voluntarily delaying an intended action even though you expect you'll be worse off for it. It sounds irrational, but emotionally it makes a lot of sense. Delay gives you relief now, and future you pays the bills. So, if your destination secretly becomes relief, you start mistaking survival for progress. You celebrate the moment you stop bleeding, even if you keep reopening the same exact wound. Let me make the punchline sharper. If your wins require the crisis to exist, They are not wins. They're just maintenance. They are a loop that keeps you feeling like you're evolving while staying in the same place. And there's another trap layered on top of that. The small win that isn't authentic. The small win that turns into a permission slip. You do one good thing and your brain goes, all right, we've earned it. You train today so you can eat like trash tomorrow. You have one perfect day so you can coast for the next 4. In psychology, this is often discussed as self-licensing. An initial good act boosts your self-image and then gives you permission to slack later. That's why small wins have to be authentic. They have to change something real. They have to reduce the probability that you end up in the same loop next week. Otherwise, it's just a mood boost that collapses. So, what do? This is the pivot. You don't fix this by getting better at escaping the hole. You fix it by changing the destination. If your goal is feel okay again, you will keep building a life that makes you not okay, because that life gives you a predictable path back to okay. But if your goal becomes build a system that doesn't require rescue, then your brain has to learn a new reward. And this is where the progress principle is useful. Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer argue that real progress, even small progress, has a powerful effect on motivation and inner experience. And if you've been listening to the Shower podcast, you know that very well. But the key word here is progress, not drama. Progress is quiet. Progress is showing up before the panic. And if you want something concrete that's backed up by research, there's a tool called implementation intentions. It's an if-then plan. If a specific trigger happens, then I do a specific response, not I'll try harder. A real plan that catches the loop at the entrance. So, in our health example, maybe the trigger is that late afternoon slump we usually reach for convenience and call it deserved. The response can be ridiculously small, but specific. The point isn't perfection. The point is that you're rewriting the script before the crisis becomes necessary. So now, I would like to end telling you this. If you recognize yourself in this, it doesn't mean you're weak. It just means your brain learned an efficient shortcut. Chase relief. That shortcut kept you afloat, but it also kept you cycling. So, the next time you feel proud because you escaped a mess, pause and ask, did I change the destination or did I just survive the same trip again? If it's the second one, don't shame yourself. Get honest. Then pick one authentic win that makes the loop less likely tomorrow. That was all for today. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this more elaborate episode. I have to say that it's something that hit me very hard lately because this pattern kept on happening, and I was like, isn't it strange that I keep doing this and every time I end up feeling exactly the same? And after a few days of thought, here we are with this episode. And I really hope that it will be able to help at least one of you in recognizing this pattern as well before it happens one too many times in your life. If you made it so far, feel free to interact with this content in any way, shape, or form you like, by liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. Whatever works for you works for me, but would be truly, truly appreciated. And as usual, stay consistent, stay resilient. This was the Shower Podcast, and I'll see you tomorrow.